When I originally started, I basically joined a lot of charity boards, a lot of community boards. I was born and raised in Vancouver and always wanted to give back. I always thought about, wanted to do something for the city. So I started off on these junior boards and charity work and doing community events. And part of my rationale is I want my kids to see that, hey, giving back is so important to our city and to our community. Going forward, I ended up joining the NPA board. And so that was where I had the opportunity to meet Sam. And that was probably my first experience on a more organized type board. Fast forward, Sam in the Liberal Party appointed me as, I said, hey, why don't you come join a public board? And the public board is just a different type of animal, like I would say. And I got there and I said, you know what, I'll try it. It's a great experience. And I ended up joining Douglas College. And didn't know much about the college industry, didn't know much about the education industry, and I just came in there with a clean slate, an open mind. So yeah, how can I help improve? I had no attachment to Douglas College. I was born and raised in Vancouver, didn't even know much about New West, for that matter. I got there and they made me sign this thing called Taxpayers Accountability. And that will scare the bejeebus out of you. Because basically now you are an open book. Every decision you make, everything you do, you are always thinking about the taxpayers' dollars. And you've got various stakeholders involved. And now that was serious, and that opened your eyes. So if you ever, you're thinking about joining a board, you have to be all in. You have to be committed, because now you're making decisions that impact the greater college and also taxpayers, because you are dealing with public funds. And I think on the board there were 8 of us, and it was a tremendous experience. I felt we learned the most important was governance, in terms of what is governance, how do we move forward, what do we do? And you're always thinking about the students in mind. You're thinking about protecting the funds, how to grow the college. And I often kind of describe it as an MBA case study. You're thrown into something, and you're just thinking, how do I kind of grow this? How do I move this forward? And so some of the things we did is, we started different committees. There was a campus master plan, how the community colleges was going to grow. We chaired that committee. I chaired that committee. Audit finance, that was one of the most important. You're dealing with different stakeholders. You've got the government, you've got students, you've got faculty, you've got unions. So all these come into play. And so now you are full on thinking of everything. The other thing we did was a strategic plan. So how do we grow this college over the next 5 years? And again, wonderful experience. But overall, things I learned, I never thought I'd do a commencement speech to a bunch of nurses, wear up on gown. I didn't know where that happened. I was like, okay, do you want to do it? I said, sure. Right? So next thing I know, and it was fantastic. Like, you got the young students, and they were, they want to listen to, the experience and what you have to say. And, coming from a business background, I found I went in there and to operate this like a business and grow a business like any other thing you'd want to do. So I stayed there for 5 years, and to be honest, it was a wonderful experience, but it does take time and dedication. You are working on, I worked monthly meetings, committee meetings. You'd get a stack of paper and you'd be reading all day. The first year I found it was very intimidating. So whenever you're joining a board, it is very intimidating. But it does take you a while. Be patient, and it does take you a while to get used to. They were using acronyms I didn't understand. But after a while, after a year, you really start contributing. And I think year 2, 3, 4, 5, and then next thing I knew, I was a senior board member. And because your term is maximum 6 years, and so then that's when you find your real contribution. The first couple of years is just learning and absorbing as much as you can. But I met Sam last weekend, and it was kind of like, Jeevan, do you mind talking about your experience? I go, absolutely. And I'm open to any questions. And if anybody's considering joining a board, it's a fantastic way to expand. You meet wonderful people. I think I've made great friends from that board. We're still in touch, and they're in different areas. And we had good friendships, and we kind of talk about how much fun it was. And so I think as long as you're coming in with an open mind and be ready to dedicate your time and energy, it's a fabulous experience. So I'm open to any questions anybody want to ask. I mean, if anybody's considering a board, I would say do it, but do it with your heart. Be passionate about it, and and don't underestimate the work, right? Because it is a lot of work, but it is rewarding as well, right? When you see students, you see them come back, and when you see the board members and the commencement speeches, all our board members did it, and it was actually a great experience. So anyway, that's what I have to say.